Hey everybody, Smart Silver Stacker here. Hope you're doing well. Welcome to today's live stream. So there's a lot going on. We got a perfect storm brewing for gold and silver prices right now. And you can see that is evidenced in the chart of gold, which as we speak during this live stream is sitting at a record all-time high price, $2,641. So what is driving this? Well, we've got China unleashing massive economic stimulus. We've got World War III accelerating. We've got the BRICS nations importing vast quantities of hard assets in anticipation of what is likely ahead, possibly as early as next month at the BRICS meeting in October, where there will be increased attempts at de-dollarization. Now, gold is breaking out to record all-time highs. Silver is in the green today, but silver has been the laggard. So what's going on with silver? Why is it lagging gold? It has certainly moved up. It's up over 30% over the past year, silver that is, but still, it is a fraction of its record all-time highs from 2011 and from 1980. Whereas you got gold exceeding those previous all-time highs dramatically. Now, I want to look at the chart of silver here. And this chart goes back to, this is an hourly chart, so breaking it down kind of granularly. But this formation here, this symmetrical triangle that silver appears to be consolidating in on the hourly chart, this goes back to last Wednesday when the Federal Reserve announced their 50 basis point rate cut, when they began easing perhaps more than we might have expected. So it looks to me like silver is getting ready to break out. And once we break out of this pattern, it may be off to the races. I think we're very close to a significant breakout in silver, and 30% gains year over year might start to look like small potatoes compared to what is ahead. But hey, you want the sure thing? Gold appears to be it. If you want to get some gold and silver, make sure you check out sdbullion.com. Right now, new customers can get gold or silver at spot by visiting sdbullion.com/news. So check them out. Now let's get into the news. This is huge. This Chinese stimulus, which was just announced, and they are pulling out a bazooka of stimulus here. This is a sign, I think, that the Federal Reserve's easing last week has kicked off a global race to the bottom for these fiat currencies, and the renminbi, the yuan, is no exception. And let's just go over a few of these measures to get an idea of how stimulative Chinese policy has just become. So the central bank will cut the bank's reserve requirement ratio by 50 basis points in the near future. That's going to free up about 1 trillion yuan. That's $142 billion for new lending. So lending is about to get a lot easier. That means there's going to be a lot more currency sloshing around in the Chinese economy. That means there's going to be a lot more demand for raw materials. So you can see what kind of effect this is going to have on gold and silver. China, of course, the biggest buyer of gold in 2023. Officially, they have stopped their purchases since Q2 of this year, but I think that might be about to change as well. You've got the 7-day reverse repo rate about to be cut by the central bank by 0.2 percentage points. But this really isn't the biggest news of all. You've got a reduction in mortgage rates. Think about this. The Chinese central bank is going to guide commercial banks to reduce the interest rates on existing mortgages by 0.5 percentage points on average. Now, that's the kind of stimulus that we have never even dreamed of here in the U.S. Can you imagine if your mortgage just suddenly got reduced interest rate just out of the blue? That's going to benefit 50 million households, which will pay 150 billion yuan less in interest per year. So what do you think they might buy with that yuan? You think they might go out and buy some gold and silver bullion? Certainly that is what some of that currency is going to be chasing. Now, China is going to lower the minimum down payment ratio to 15% for second home buyers from 25%. They're pulling out all the stops. They're going to allow commercial banks to use 100% from the 300 billion yuan re-lending loan facility to finance loans that they offer to state-owned firms for acquiring unsold flats for affordable housing. That's up from 60% now, so almost doubling the access to that facility. You've got the CSRC, I believe that's like their state regulatory commission for finance, will further support China's state fund central Hejian investment in stock purchases and expanding investment scope. So they're going to pump up the value of their stock market. They're going to have a swap program with an initial size of 500 billion yuan to allow funds, insurers, brokers easier access to funding in order to buy stocks. So they're going to be able to put assets up as collateral to get access to this money to bid up the price of stocks. And then they are also providing up to 300 billion yuan in a first batch of cheap loans to commercial banks to help them fund listed companies' share purchases and buybacks. So this is a huge deluge of currency, which is about to be unleashed in the second largest economy in the world. This will have a huge impact on gold and silver. Now, why silver specifically? Well, look at this. This is a story from earlier this year about how China in 2023 added more solar panels than the U.S. did in its entire history. They installed 217 gigawatts of solar capacity last year. That's more than the U.S. has in total. Now, that needs a lot of silver to accomplish that. More recently, they added 102 gigawatts of capacity in the first half of this year. Now, that was actually an increase year over year from the first half of 2023 by 30.68%. There had been some talk that Chinese solar demand and silver demand might decline due to a weakening economy, but considering the size of stimulus, which was just launched, I believe they will be expanding this solar capacity even more than they did last year, and that's going to put a huge upward pressure on silver. We know that silver is already operating at a deficit. The silver market worldwide has been in a deficit for the past 4 years to the tune this year of over 200 million ounces. It's about 1 billion ounces that we get out of the ground and recycled every year. So this is going to exacerbate that deficit, and ultimately that's going to lead to either higher prices or a squeeze. So you might want to have some physical. Now, what did India just announce? They announced that they had record gold imports in August. Just last month, they imported a record amount of gold. India imported $10 billion worth of gold in August. This is a threefold increase over July. India, another BRICS nation, another nation that will be a tremendous source of demand for gold and silver. And there's a lot of people in India. It's the most populous nation in the world, and they have a long history of storing wealth in hard assets like gold and silver. And thus far in 2024, Indian gold imports are up 30%. Now, this in part is due to the fact that the government in India reduced the import tax from 15% down to 6%. So a huge cut in the tariffs for importing gold. So you can expect gold demand and silver demand as well in India to continue to soar. It was reported recently in Reuters that India's silver imports in the first half of 2024 jumped up to 4,554 tons. That's up from 560 tons the previous year. So what is that? About almost a tenfold increase in the amount of silver that India is importing. So there is, again, a perfect storm for gold and silver brewing here. You're going to see the BRICS nations continue to load up on hard assets, likely for what is coming in October. We'll talk about that in a moment. Also, here domestically, you've got U.S. business activity continuing to slow. The PMI report released yesterday, I believe it was, indicated that there's going to be a significant decline in the U.S. economy here. That means that policy is going to get even easier. If you thought that the Fed's cut last week was big, more is coming. I'm going to have to wrap this up quick. I'm running low on time, but we've got currently the World War III in the Middle East escalating. Israel is launching massive strikes in Lebanon at the moment. This could escalate into a broad regional conflict. Expect that to put significant upward pressure on commodities, including oil. U.S. is sending troops there. Someone's at my door. I got to go soon. Gold to silver ratio at 85. Silver remains very cheap. And BRICS is considering a petro yuan next month. So Hopefully I'll have some more time for the next live stream. Everybody stay safe and happy stacking. Thanks for watching. Get yourself some gold and silver before this all kicks off. Not financial advice, but that's what I'm doing.